there, Ian from Eurogamer here. Now, most tips videos in video game land focus on telling you things that you should do, but because I am me and because I'm incapable of doing things normally, this Battlefield 5 Firestorm tips video will cover the many things you shouldn't do if you want to stand a better chance at winning a V for victory. The first thing you shouldn't do when you start playing Firestorm is very important, especially if you want to last longer than 30 seconds at a time. Much like Apex Legends, for some reason the majority of the 64 players in each match are way too eager to throw themselves face first out of these perfectly good airplanes. Now, if you're a beast at Battlefield and you feel like you're pretty nifty in a fight, then that's fair enough. More power to you. Go get them kills, soldier. But if you're only just jumping into Battlefield 5 now because of Firestorm, or you prefer your opening moments of Battle Royale matches to be the opposite of freediving into the middle of a meat grinder, you're going to want to wait for all the Larry folk to jump out first, and then aim for somewhere a little quieter. And what do I mean by quieter? Well, stay away from anything on the map with a name on it. There's sure to be more loot in these bigger places, of course, but more loot means more problems, so heading to a couple of shacks in the middle of nowhere and then working your way on from there is probably the best choice for noobs. Little hamlets and clusters of shacks will always net you a few green weapons though, and more often than not you should be able to blag at least a couple of armor plates. Chances are you will eventually need to risk heading to a more built-up area though, especially if you want to get your hands on some bigger, juicier, epic weapons. But hey, if you die at that point, at least you'll have been alive long enough to actually see some of the map. This next point is about footprints, and while it isn't hugely important when it comes to prolonging your survival, it has caught me out a couple of times, so it's worth bearing in mind when you're hunting for enemies. Basically, although it looks like it, you do not leave footprints in the snow in Firestorm. Playing PUBG's Vikendi map has kind of taught me to look for footprints to follow, but the ones in the mountainous areas of Halvoy are purely cosmetic, and they only serve as environmental signposts to show you where the easiest paths to navigate are. Don't believe me? Turn around and walk backwards and you'll soon see that your helium-filled soldier bod is far too light to leave even the slightest indentation in the snow. Well, okay, either your body is full of helium, or Criterion just didn't program snow deformation into the game. It's one of those, I'm sure. Anyway, if you're following the sound of gunfire or hunting down an escaping enemy who only needs one more to the back of the head in order to finish them off, don't be led away from them by following a random set of footprints in the snow, or they may just get the drop on you without you realizing. One of the easiest things to do when you're learning the ropes in Firestorm is to forget to equip armor plating. When you first spawn in Firestorm, you come packing a level 1 set of armor. The only problem is that that armor doesn't actually have any armor in it, just a lovely empty pocket to slide a fresh piece of armor plating into. So as you're running around swiping guns and explosives from the floor, make sure you keep a lookout for these distinctive little armor plates and equip one the second you find it. Once you've done that, you'll get a full purple line above your health bar, indicating that one slot of armor is now full. Blue level 2 and pink level 3 armor give you extra pockets for more plate armor, but thankfully they come fully stocked when you find them on the floor. Always double check your armour plating after getting into scuffles though, they get damaged pretty easily, so you'll need to keep swapping them out for new ones if one or more of those purple lines is empty. One of the main things that is bound to confuse new players is the way your backpack works. In fact, some new players won't even know that they have to look inside their backpacks in order to swap out some of the loot that they've collected. So then, I guess this next point is, don't forget to look in your backpack. The backpacks in Firestorm come in 3 levels, and the higher the level, the more gadgets you can carry. That's gadgets like airdrops, mines, explosives, you get the gist. Not ammo though, the amount of ammo you can carry stays constant throughout the game, basically to stop people like me schnaffling it all when they don't really need it. Anyway, pressing down on the D-pad will open up your backpack on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, and here, using the right thumbstick, you can choose items to equip into your gadget quick slots. You can only hold 4 gadgets in these quick slots at a time, so it's well worth practicing opening your backpack and then swapping items around quickly, because it can get a bit confusing, especially when you're in the middle of a firefight. This next one's quite quick, but it's a good one to know if you don't want to end up exploding yourself. Basically, don't get the gadget shortcuts on your D-pad confused. The 4 gadget shortcuts are up, left and right on the D-pad, and then L1, which is the default button for your throwables like grenades. Up on the D-pad is always the shortcut for healing, so mash that if you've taken damage and want to bring up your syringe. Items stored on the left and right on the D-pad, however, can be swapped around at will with items from your backpack, and in my experience at least, this makes it very easy to forget which shortcut activates what item. In this clip, for instance, I pick up an armor plate and try to activate it with left on the D-pad, but unfortunately that slot actually contained a grenade gun, and instead of filling my armor, I almost blew my own legs off. Nice. One of the most important things to do when you're playing squads in Firestorm is to make sure that you have a fully loaded pistol in your inventory. This is because your character will pull out any pistol they own automatically when they are downed, giving you a slight chance at defending yourself as you wait for your teammate to revive you. However, when you're playing solos, the opposite is true. Quite simply, don't bother picking up the pistols at all. In a rare couple of cases, you may need to, if there's a scrabble for guns at the very start, for instance, but as soon as you get a proper gun, ditch that pistol and the pistol ammo. Why? Well, not only do you die instantly in solos, so there's no point keeping something by your side for reviving cover, but it's also to do with the way the ammo works. The amount of ammo you can hold is governed by a weight limit. That means any surplus ammo you have for guns you're not using is actually taking up space that you could be using to store more ammo for the guns that you do have. So, if you find yourself unable to pick up any ammo, try dumping that useless pistol and any unneeded rounds you might have on the floor. Then you should find that your pockets have a bit more room in them for the bullets you actually need. I found this next one out the hard way, so whatever you do, don't bother waiting in the Firestorm to capture a resupply point, as chances are it'll be a big burny waste of time. Resupply points are these big balloons that float up into the air every so often. When that happens, you can stand next to them to capture them, similar to the way you capture control points in Conquest. Stand there long enough for the icon to turn a lovely shade of blue, and then the tubes at the bottom of the balloon will pop open, showering the floor with oh so shiny looty treats. But if you're thinking about weighing up the risk versus reward of grabbing a resupply point that's in the Firestorm, just forget about it. Turns out, as soon as the Firestorm reaches the area that it's been pushing towards, the capture points behind the wall of flames just disappear, and with them, all hope of loot. So now you're lootless and burning, and you're miles away from the safe zone, and your non-greedy, sensible mates. Weak. As far as I can tell, you can't speed up your running by holstering guns or holding smaller weapons like the knife or the pistol. What I did discover when playing though is that you can still move pretty quickly while administering a health injection to yourself. This is something that will come as great news to anyone who's slowly burning to death within the Firestorm. So while everything is burning and your teammates are panicking themselves into an early grave, make sure you don't forget to equip your health syringe. Then you can just point yourself in the direction of the non-burning stuff and leg it, occasionally slowing down slightly to jab yourself in the arm like a masochistic scorpion.
He has no armor. Oh, nice.
This final point is one you really need to remember, especially if you're a bit of a timid player. Quite simply, don't get comfy. Other Battle Royale games have taught us that it's perfectly fine to camp inside a building and take pot shots at our foes, but in Firestorm, with its destructible buildings, nowhere is safe. And I mean nowhere.
What the hell? Oh my god. Oh. Okay, I'm out of here.
Just take this for example. Here I am with my mate Ray defending some stairs when, holy mother of Bob, there goes the floor. The same could be said for this unfortunate chap here. He nearly killed me there, but then he retreated back into his building to heal up. Thankfully, I had an artillery strike flare gun on me, so instead of chasing him through the building and risking death, I just shot it through his front window and then did a fat legger to safety and watched as every building he tried to find cover in collapsed into the dirt. Ah, there we go. Got him in the end. Lovely. And that's all I've got time for in this video. I'm off to play more Firestorm now, so I can find out more things that you shouldn't do if you want to win, which should be pretty easy for me because I'm terrible at this game. But before I go, I'll just do that thing where I remind you to like, subscribe, and check out these other Eurogamer videos, what are on screen now. Goodbye, and good luck in Halvoy.